This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. Well, it's 2020, and I know everyone has their New Year's resolutions. It's not too late to get started on that resolution of being more organized in the 2020 year. And JBox and JList, they're going to help you do that with anime calendars that are all $20 or less. If you head over to jbox.com, you can find a huge selection of calendars with your favorite titles. They've got Attack on Titan, Danmachi, Detective Conan, Dragon Ball, The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. They've got Shield Hero, they've got Sword Art Online, they've got Studio Ghibli, One Piece, Pokemon, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer. It never ends. Head over to jbox.com right now and let JBox help you out with your organization this year as you head into the 2020 year, and you'll spruce up your office or your home with a cool calendar. And now it's time to start the podcast.
You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast.
Arr!
We're about to set off on our 508th voyage into the choppy seas of anime on the Flying Gutsman. My name is Mason. I'm your sailing master because I'm at the helm today. With me we have Mitsugi, our boatswain, running the systems.
Arr, give me all ye monster energy drink.
I was about to say, what pirate energy drink are you drinking nowadays?
Arr, today it'd be Ultra Sunshine, it'd be the orange flavor. Arr.
I love the dichotomy of Ultra Sunshine and pirates. And up above in the crow's nest, we have our barrelman, Mandi. How's it going?
Nice.
She's up there because she has the eye for booty. How's it going?
I was just about to say that. You stole my joke.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to say, hi, I am Andy. I'm here for all the booty. Well,
Rocking a new set of headphones, I see.
yeah. My beautiful pink ones.
Oh.
Because the other ones fell apart. And it was really hard. I had to tape them. If you're watching live, you saw that I had one side all taped up because they kept falling apart while we were recording.
Well, we can't have that happen.
Yeah.
You're up in the crow's nest. You have to be aware. You have to have the senses activated. You're the lifeline.
I am the sniper on our
That's
ship.
right. You're the barrelman.
Very true. And our crew is all here together to make your anime addiction worse. And, you can find us at aapodcast.com/join, where you can get access to everything, including hentai episodes, which we are going to record later this episode, Hobby Addicts, which we have so many of. This last episode, Mitsugi gave his takes on My Hero Academia, and in past episodes, he's talked about Weathering with You and all sorts of other anime-related goodies. Mandi talked about the Nyalotha, the new WoW raid, and how that's been going. And I talked about who knows what, all sorts of different things. We also have after parties, which we record on other episodes. So we have hundreds of bonus stuff for you to listen to if you really want. You can also follow us on Twitch, where people are watching live, and we will love you forever. Facebook, where you can not watch us live, but we still love you forever. And Discord, where we love you real time and have all sorts of various activities going on.
Love you long real time.
Love you long time, real
Love
time.
you long, real time.
One
All
of the
right.
things
All right, if
on
you want to
Discord
vote, if you want to vote in the 2019 Anime Oscars, you can go to the website or you can go to social media. There be a link. You can vote in the Anime Oscars, or I be making you walk the
sound like
plank.
Beetlejuice.
Or how dare you?
You sound like a mix between a pirate, Beetlejuice, and a pro wrestler.
I like it.
Well, if you want to vote in the 2019 Anime Oscars, brother,
There you go.
I'm
There we
going to
go.
come down to
That's
your
what we're
house,
waiting for.
and you can vote for the best anime. You can vote for the worst anime. You can vote for the best songs. We got it all. We got it all because that's the way it is because I said so.
That's, a pooper scooper seems like an appropriate pirate ship name.
It
So
does.
I like it. Anyway, on our Discord, we've got the health club going on, and we've got so many good goals that people are looking to do. We've got people trying to get into boxing, people trying to run marathons, people trying to get stronger, lose that weight, people trying to get in just for the health and mental benefits. The best goal I've seen, though, someone wants to become a Bishonen. They want to become a nice Bishi boy, and I can applaud that. We have all sorts of Let's Plays going on that Mandi and I do on Twitch. Sometimes it's Danganronpa, sometimes it's World of Warcraft. We might even have another special edition one coming up in the coming days.
Figure it out.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But check us out on Twitch to get access to all of that. This upcoming week, if you're listening to this live, January 29th, we have an anime club where the crew is going to be discussing Bento, and boy, that's a wild time. There will be war going on. Mandi says peace was never an option.
Peace is never an option.
This is the wildest show that I like that I'm not supposed to like, and if that's not enough to convince you to watch it, I don't know what is. So come by.
Probably the dumbest anime I've ever seen, but it's really funny. I had a good time watching it.
10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jump in the Discord and talk about it with us.
You can also come to my manga club, not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday, February 5th. We'll be going over Barakamon, the first 2 volumes. It's going to be such a cute time. So come to Discord, go down to the manga chat, manga club channel, and check the pin notes there. You can find the chapters that you need and also what's coming up next. And it'll be at 10 p.m. EST. You just got to hop into the chat. Open to anybody, so come join.
I'm so excited. I can actually make this one. Now that hockey started up, I've been busy, but this one, I'll be there. And I've already started reading it, and I've got lots of things to say.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I also want to mention, for those of you, might be kind of listening to this in the background at home, this episode, really quick, I was about to say, yeah, I know. I was about to say this episode will have a bit of a visual component later on. So if you are, want to check out that part of things, as Mitsugi holds up a sick Hajime no Ippo cell, there might be some good stuff to eyeball in this episode, besides Mandi's ferret as it runs across right as I was about to say that statement.
Yeah, he was zooming, I saw.
He's a bit of a zoomer. But Mandi, what are we doing this episode?
He was on a mission. I don't know what he is trying to do, but
probably spill
hopefully
water.
He figured it out. Yeah. So coming up, like Mason said, we are going to go over anime Cels. I have a bunch. Mitsugi has a bunch. Mason has none because he's responsible. But we'll go over that, and maybe if you are newer to anime and don't know anything about Cels, maybe you'll learn something. And then later on, we're doing impressions on Pet Heya Camp, or Heya Camp, sorry.
Heya, no worries.
Natsunagu. Those 2 are very short, so Mason is doing both of those at the same time. And then Bofuri, the one about the shield girl.
Oh, come on. You're not going to read the whole title?
I'm not even going to attempt it because that looks like a bunch of nonsense.
No. Boguku Roku ni Kyoku Furi Shitai no Omoimasu.
There was an attempt.
Oh my god.
There's
that was
also
a nightmare.
Plunderer and Hanako-Kun. So stay tuned.
Wow.
We got a lot of stuff.
Wild. That might be the longest anime title I've ever heard of.
I don't know. What about the one about the mom? Like, do you love your mom and her?
And there are 2 who hit multi-combo attack or something.
You know
like
what?
that.
You know what? I'll look it up and we'll determine which is longer by Japanese syllables. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Oh, 大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Mm-hmm. We're just watching Mandi's ferret. But anyway,
Steins water all over my floor.
Steins Gate was revealed on its 10th anniversary to be getting a Hollywood live-action television series produced by Skydance Television, who is responsible for Altered Carbon, Grace and Frankie, and involved with the Jack Ryan Amazon series, is producing the project. There's no dates yet. It just says soon. Not too much details, but anytime anime gets a live-action adaptation, whether it be film or television, people have opinions on it. Usually cautious pessimism, I would say.
Ooh, okay.
But what do you guys think?
Well, Steins Gate, I mean, certainly very popular. Man, it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. Okay. Well, it's not a movie. I think that Steins Gate it's popular enough to have the audience to make it a success. I think that there's a lot of silly stuff in Steins Gate that may not look good in live action. So, but I certainly think they can do it. I mean, Steins Gate has this. People might forget that Steins Gate isn't just about like, you know, a goofy guy in a lab. You know, there's a lot of like serious, sort of almost like espionage, science fiction, action, sort of very serious stuff happening that I think would translate pretty well. And it's not the first time we've had a time travel show that, you know, heavily laden with science fiction and whatnot. I mean, I think it could be a success. I just think that if they might need to tone down some of the goofiness that's in Steins Gate. Otherwise, I think live action audiences might be afraid that there's too much clashing between like silly things happening and, you know, like very serious sort of, you know, like governmental espionage and, you know, whatnot. So I think it could be really good.
I agree that visually it could definitely, you know, it didn't need to be anime. They could do it live action. It's like you said, I think it'll be interesting to see how they do the contrast between the comedic moments and the serious moments. I think that interplay will be interesting. I just want to see how they do green bananas. That's really all I'm here for. But I think it'll be a good time. And Mandy is just bouncing around with two ferrets now.
Juggling.
I said we would have visual entertainment. I was not wrong. You're missing out if you're
Also,
not
the
on
live
Twitch.
action won't have Mamoru Miyano, so that's I don't know. That's rough.
Oh, well. Maybe he'll make a cameo.
It's possible.
I would watch it.
By the way, I just counted, and I can confirm that the My Mom's Powerful Whatever Multi 2-Hit Target Attack Show's title is a little longer than Bofuri, so not the longest title. It's a lot less sexy now that it's not the longest title anymore, but you know, whatever. Live with it. Deal with it. Will you guys watch this?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it'd be easier to do than Death Note, so I don't know.
Yeah, or like the Dragon Ball stuff, which always gets
for sure.
immediate whiplash of anime fans going. But I guess I don't know why I would need to watch this. I mean, between the visual novel, between the first anime, like I feel like I've got peak Steins Gate already. I'm not looking for anything else. I don't need to see an adaptation in my mind. I kind of know what I want it to look like and don't need to see it executed.
I probably won't watch it. You know, Steins Gate is fine. I've seen now, I think, all of the animated adaptations of Steins Gate. I just worry. I think the more, like, anime is great because there's a lot of silly things that happen in anime that look good animated, and it works. And that's why a lot of people like anime. There's a lot of fantasy in there, suspension of disbelief, just fun stuff, fan service. All this stuff works. But when you take it to like TV and ask like a normal non-anime audience to try to watch it, I think people will struggle the further they get from what people are used to seeing. So I think that there are some anime properties that are just that are going to be like just a home run for live action. Like they were going to do Monster for a while. That's an obvious choice because there's nothing in there that's really out of left field for people. Mm-hmm. Steins Gate doesn't have a lot of that either. But I think that like there is enough in there that if they adapt it correctly, I think it could be a big success. But I probably won't be watching it and that's just because I'm just not the biggest Steins Gate fan. So you know, I know if Enzo was here, Enzo would say I'm watching it because Enzo loves Steins Gate. So
he does. It comes down in my mind to how well they do the tutorus. If they can't nail those,
we don't need this. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Thanks.
We don't need the tutorus at all in here.
You can't take those out.
But
I think you're doomed
half
with
the
no
reasons I
tutorus.
watched the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, see, I guess that's a discussion of like, are you willing to piss off the fans of the series in order to not throw off normal viewers? And I don't know. We'll have to see what they decide. So,
yeah.
But I'm glad they're doing it. So I want to see more of these properties brought to live TV because I mean, it can't really hurt. Anything else on that?
Now let's march right along.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
All right, Log Horizon's getting a third season in the fall of 2020. And this one there was a lot of discussion about this online. I mean, Log Horizon, pretty popular show, I would say. That's probably an understatement. Scheduled to air in October of 2020, titled Collapse of the Round Table. So I haven't watched any Log Horizon. I'm sure that's important to somebody. What's probably more important is that the production staff and the studio are the same as what they've had in prior seasons. So the first season was animated by Satellite, and it aired over 2 quarters in the fall of 2013, and then Studio Dean did the second season the following fall, which had 2 parts. And I think that this is also Studio Dean that's going to be continuing it. So it's, this is a huge title. Like, I think this is one of those shows that like sets the tone for a season. And these fall seasons always seem to have like something very big in them. So for those of you that
pull people in.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have database,
I was about to say I need to save this entry into my database for later.
No database, OP, we're out of here. Just get rid of it.
For people who haven't
Sorry
seen,
for the legions of people who now have that song stuck in their head.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen Log Horizon, it's about I guess a bunch of Japanese gamers get taken from their everyday lives into an MMO game. So I guess that makes it an isekai. Called Elder Tale, and after the game's like update, they all get pulled in, and then they're not able to log out. And there's a bunch of various crew of characters that sort of give the show its flair. I've never seen Log Horizon, but hearing that, I just think immediately of Dot Hack. So it's the exact same premise. There's people that can't log out.
I'm not a big isekai fan, but it's one of the better ones only because it actually uses knowledge from the real world into the game world. Like, you get that crossover of like how knowledge can help you, and it was definitely more interesting than a lot of the others. So
out of all
like
the ones that I've seen, this one feels the most like a game that I think out of all the other isekais that I've seen.
Well, it certainly has good scores online, so that's exciting. Also, there's another series coming out in the summer of 2020 called The Great Pretender, and I pulled this because it's Wit Studio. It's going to be releasing, people will be unhappy about this, but it's releasing on Fuji TV's Plus Ultra programming block and also exclusively on Netflix. So it's another one of those Netflix shows. Yutaka Yamada of Tokyo Ghoul is composing the music, and Hiro Kaburagi of 91 Days is going to be directing. Guys, I watched the trailer of this. I'm not even kidding you. I was 10 seconds in, and take this with a grain of salt. I was 10 seconds in. The style and the music, I immediately thought of Cowboy Bebop. And I don't want to get anybody too excited, but I got a Bebop vibe immediately from watching it. Trailer just has a lot of style. The music is like big band jazz sound. It had a ton of action in the trailer. It's set. It looks like it's predominantly set in the United States.
Yeah, it's definitely like a Hollywood location at LAX and everything.
Yeah, and so this is like, I'm tentatively excited about this. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on this in the summer. This Great Pretender show. The story is Makoto Edamura is supposedly Japan's greatest swindler, and together with his partner Kudo, they try to trick a Frenchman in Asakusa, but unexpectedly get tricked instead. And the Frenchman, whom they try to swindle, turns out to be Laurent Ferry, a much higher level man of, he's a very high level member of the mafia, and Edamura has yet to find out what fate awaits him after having engaged in the after being associated with this member of the mafia. So we'll have to see what happens when he gets wrapped up in places he shouldn't be. But go watch the trailer online. I think people will agree that just from the music and the feel of it, it might feel a little bit like Bebop. I'm sure the story is completely different, obviously, as you just heard. But it's hard not to think of it when I get that's smack in the face of the style and the music. So Great Pretender
will do that to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Great Pretender.
I mean, I'm just excited because it's a anime original. I always tend to look for those, and excited to see what Wit Studio comes up with.
Yeah, and it's Wit Studio, and they've just been on fire lately, just crushing everything they do. Just seems to be pretty much great. So at this point, I'm almost willing to try anything that Wit Studio makes these days. So, and this is no different. Moving on with the trivia, guys, we're continuing our theme of anime monsters. The answer this week was Dororo. It was the monster with the long tongue, the green guy with the long tongue. The winner for the week was Interstellar Punk, so congratulations. And we're going to continue this theme of anime monsters for a little bit longer. And then I have like a pretty interesting idea for the next theme. You have to wait and see what that is when we get to it, but look forward to that.
And where can people find these questions, these
Well,
themes, this trivia?
I'm glad you asked, Mason. So if you go to our website, aaapodcast.com, it's down along the bottom. While you're there, don't forget to vote in our anime Oscars, and that's still rolling. You got a little while to vote still, but there's a lot of categories that are still real close, and we need to have more people to kind of separate them and feel good about having a defined winner in each category. So get on that.
All right, so it looks like we're at our first break for the day, which is good because I need to go do something with ferrets because they knocked something over and I heard
they're wrestling.
Are they being mischievous?
They are very mischievous.
Mandy
They
just
saw
heard a big
that I
cry.
was busy and was like, "This is the perfect time to go knock shit over."
Now we pounce.
Now we pounce. Alrighty, so we have a trivia question for you, which we will answer after the break. And that is, in the anime Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun, Hanako is based on a Japanese urban legend about a spirit of a young woman who haunts a school bathroom. There is another urban legend that we often see in Japanese media about a malevolent spirit who asks people, "Do you think I'm attractive?" What is the name of that spirit? And we'll answer it after the break.
Hey, all you anime addicts, this is Mitsugi, and I'm bringing you your first round of anime news, starting off with the winners of the 65th Shogakukan Manga Awards. Have some pretty great titles in here, including in the general category, Aoashi, which is a pretty interesting sports manga. So if you're a fan of sports, following a J-League youth team for soccer, that's a pretty cool one to check out. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, we all know that one, also won awards in the general category. In the shonen category, Maiko Chi no Makanai-san won the award. It's about the daily life of a 16-year-old girl, Kyo, who, unable to follow her dream of being a Maiko or an apprentice geisha, she finds her place in cooking. So some other interesting awards in the shoujo category, Nagi no Oitoma, or Nagi's Long Vacation. If you want to check out these manga, if you're a big fan of manga, they are apparently very good as winners of the 65th Shogakukan Awards, so check out those titles. Next up, Madman Anime, a company located in Australia, and its parent company, Funimation, launched a GoFundMe campaign to help support the wildlife that have been affected by the just unbelievably terrible and devastating fires throughout Australia. The campaign has raised only about $10,000 of its $150,000 goal. Really recommend people that like wildlife, which probably a lot of people, go check out the GoFundMe campaign from Madman Anime and Funimation. So, throw a couple bucks, support some wildlife. In addition, Anime Lab and Madman pledged to match dollar for dollar all the funds raised up to $75,000. So pretty much every dollar you donate is going to count as $2. So it'll definitely be worth your time and might make you feel good. Next up here, I remember when I saw the Gundam in Odaiba Island for the first time, and it was pretty unbelievable. Well, now they're going to be having a moving Gundam statue. That's right, a Gundam that can actually move in Yokohama. It's going to be about 60 feet tall. They're going to have it on the Yamashita Pier in Yokohama on October 1st. So obviously, if you're a huge fan of Gundam, that's a huge Gundam model for you to go check out. It's going to be there for approximately 1 year, and people will be able to go check it out. The model will be remote controlled by an operator while attached to a support mechanism at the waist to prevent it from falling down. So not quite going to go to battle with this Gundam, but it does move a little bit, so we're making progress. If you're a big fan of Gundam, Yokohama will have it starting on October 1st or about 1 year. Next up, Vic Mignogna's saga just continues on and on. He posted a very lengthy 13-minute live stream video where he maintains his innocence and basically just said everything, I would say, including, I said, quote, "I have never once in the history of my life ever forced myself on anyone," and a bunch of other comments. So just trying to defend himself, I guess. If you're a fan of Vic Mignogna or following this saga, the live stream has definitely made some news online. And he did a lot of things, including just generally thanking a lot of people that have supported him. So go check out Vic if you're interested in following that story. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, time to get back to the podcast right now. Anime Addicts 2020 is here, and for one of your New Year's resolutions, you might want to stay more organized in this new calendar year, this new decade. And jbox.com is going to help keep you on your toes with some 2020 anime calendars, all for $20 or less. And they have a huge selection for you to pick from. You can get calendars from Attack on Titan, Danmachi, Detective Conan, Dragon Ball, Evangelion, JoJo, Konosuba, Demon Slayer. They have That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. They have Cautious Hero, Sword Art Online, Studio Ghibli, so much stuff. Head over to jbox.com and pick yourself up a new anime calendar for the 2020 year. You'll spruce up your office or maybe your home. And of course, you're going to help stay on top of that New Year's resolution as well. You want to be more organized. So again, head over to jlist or jbox.com right now and grab yourself a new 2020 anime calendar.
Hey, this is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto Uzumaki, and I am an anime addict. Use your Rasengan!
I know I'm supposed to lead us in, but I'm just jamming. Okay. In the anime Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun, which I think is a ridiculous title, Hanako is based on a Japanese urban legend about the spirit of a young woman who haunts school bathrooms, which is just fantastic. There is another urban legend that we see often in Japanese media about a malevolent spirit who asks people, "Do you think I'm attractive?" What is the name of this spirit? Ooh. It is Kuchisake Onna, aka the slit-mouthed woman. This spirit obscures her face and asks victims if they think she is attractive. If they say no or scream, she will stab you. If you say yes, then she will reveal her cut mouth and slice yours to mimic her own disfigurement. Man, you can't win.
Nope.
Nope.
Not with yokai.
And if you pull out the camera obscura, you can take a photograph and she'll go, "Ah!"
And then you get points for it, and then you get to upgrade your lenses.
That's right. And your film, too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just a lesson for like husbands for when their wife asks them like, "Hey, hon, do I look good today?" Just don't answer.
Maybe. There are a lot of those
Is that
yokai.
the lesson of the story?
There's a yokai that was like a foot, and like it stomps on people's houses if you're mean to it. I can't remember. It's really dumb. There are a lot of really weird Japanese folklores.
On that note, guys, we absolutely need another Fatal Frame game. I mean, we need another Fatal Frame game.
We had one on the Wii U.
We need another one.
Oh.
All right. Ready for Mandy's Manga Minute?
Yeah.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandi.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to tell you about manga and help you find something new to read. Sorry, my cat jumped up and bumped everything. Anyways, this one is called My Father is a Unicorn.
Oh my god.
I was purposefully looking for something stupid, and I found it. Uno Issei is still in high school when his mother remarries. His mom's new husband, Masaru, is a nice enough guy. He just happens to also be a unicorn. Sometimes in the form of a talking horse, sometimes in the form of a beautiful man, Masaru is determined to run the household with his new wife while his new wife is away and win Issei over. For better or worse, now Issei is stuck teaching this unicorn man how to be a good dad in this idiosyncratic comedy about the magic of family. My Father is a Unicorn is a comedy manga, written and illustrated by Monaka Suzuki. It's just a one-shot, and it's available in English, both digitally and in print. Our main character, Issei, wakes up one day to find his mother recently remarried. As the synopsis says, but his new stepdad just turns out to be an actual unicorn. To make things worse for poor Issei, his mother just goes on a spontaneous trip and leaves him all alone with this mythical creature. And the unicorn Masaru does honestly try to bond with Issei, and he tries really hard and to be a good father, but he hasn't lived with humans, and he's unsure of like how to approach things like a proper balanced diet, because guess what? Teenage boys can't eat hay.
Well,
but the good thing that I can say about this manga is that the length of the book prevents the joke from getting old too quickly. It's a very bizarre situation filled with horse puns all over the place, but the family bonding between the two honestly didn't really grab at my heartstrings like I wanted it to. If you're looking for like a humorous story about acceptance, you can give this one a shot, but it's only 1 volume long. It's very quick.
oh, wow.
But I wouldn't recommend it for someone who's wanting a more like heartfelt story about family bonding. It's just a silly manga, pretty much.
Okay. My father's a unicorn. That would be very odd.
Yes.
Are there any,
especially when he gets surprised and his face turns into a horse face.
Are there any Mr. Ed jokes? Probably not.
No Mr. Ed. No.
I do like Mr. Ed, though. He's fun.
But there are some horse puns in there.
All right. Well, and that'll be made into an anime within at least 6 months.
It had to be a short one, like an OVA.
Well, we wouldn't be covering it then, so that's sad. All right. Well, in the anime community, a war is constantly brewing. Many are laid waste in the battle for waifus. My waifu's better than your waifu. No, my waifu's the best, as he stabbed the person in the chest with a sword. And thus the waifu war was born.
That escalated.
In the game of waifus, you either win or you are late to anime school. Cake will be thrown, ice cold tea will be served. Who will be top in the class and who will be flunked in Mason's waifu wars?
And from the
Really
ashes.
conclusion to the Space Babes theme.
Space baby dolls.
You know, Mandy and I are still arguing to this day about last week's choice. So this is serious business.
Oh yeah, I
this
carried it on
works.
Twitter, and everybody agreed with me. Mason, you left out.
Nobody agreed.
And I was
with
like,
you.
it's okay. He can't defend himself here. He doesn't have Twitter.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. That's just not
So if
right.
you want to talk shit about Mason, go to Twitter.
Exactly.
He's helpless.
Exactly. You have the high ground there. I've got no defenses. Before I reveal my final waifu of this Astral series, I want to give a shout out to all the people on Discord who gave me their suggestions for their space waifus. Azulet gave us Luluko from Space Patrol Luluko, top choice. Killick gave us Bianna Carlisle from Gundam Thunderbolt. She's also great. She's a great jazz lady in space, so that's a good time. Motoko gave us Sinan Kozuki from Starship Operators. Zero Rokyo gave us, obviously, Roko from Tenchi Muyo. And Avarius gave us, as many people wanted, Faye from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, of course.
But of course, none of those waifus are my selection. And for the final waifu, we are beaming this back to 2004. That year, one of the most important studios was celebrating their 20th anniversary. And to do so, Gainax took the team and spirit that made Fooly Cooly and developed the bombastic nature that would grow into Gurren Lagann and hearken to the past with the spiritual successor to Gunbuster. Because this week, our waifu comes from Die Buster, aka Aim for the Top 2, which is a 6-episode OVA. Have either of you guys seen this?
I have. I've seen
No.
it. We're going to go topless, baby.
Heck yeah,
How
we
long
are.
is it?
Too long.
Like each episode?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, how long is the series?
It's
Short.
6 episodes.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I can watch it tomorrow.
And
No, don't do it.
and this is because my last couple of recommendations were a little bit long. So I do recommend watching Gunbuster before Die Buster. Both of those are 6-episode series. So essentially combined, you get one season. Note, there is a little bit of nudity in this show. And by that, I mean a lot of nudity.
I'm fine.
So,
I've watched Gintama. I'm good.
I'm just saying for you work people, you might be watching this on your lunch break. Anyway, it's in the future, and it deals with Nono, who's a country girl who dreams of becoming a space pilot. And the series follows her hard work and determination to succeed. Of course, when aliens attack, these monsters begin messing everything up, and her plan goes out the window, and chaos ensues. It's a short, fun, eye-catching series that really pays homage to all the great character design, the optimistic spirit, and OP that you can't not dance to. This Groove and Magic OP, it's so good. It's so good. There's Gynaxing all over the place. There's legendary poses, larger-than-life moments, and it has my waifu of the week, who is, drum roll please, actually never mind, no one wants a drum roll, the pilot of Buster Machine 19 and holder of the highest skill score, the hero of justice. The waifu is Lal C. Melk Mark, which is quite a mouthful.
Yes.
And she's a mighty fine waifu. She's cool, she's confident, she's a moped rider extraordinaire, just like her from Fooly Cooly. She's got this practical, honest look at the world, which helps like to ground the series and all the characters around her, because they're all a bunch of oddballs. So she's like the one like straight man in the crew. Of all the pilot like idols, she always carries herself with a sense of dignity and grace. However, unlike most characters of this archetype who are like really good and they know they're good, so they kind of like are cold to everyone else, she's like isn't that way. She's, you know, she gives everyone a chance. She isn't quick to dismiss the Genki upstart no-no and gives everyone the benefit of the doubt. She is super cute. She has this like short stature, so she has to stand on like books to cook, and it's adorable. She's got this light hair which plays off her tan skin. She's got freckles. Mad cute. QT 3.14 for sure. And she's got this soft side as well. She's like calmed by the sound of a heartbeat and nice relaxing moments like that. And she plays it safe because she always wears a helmet when she's riding her moped. So she's very practical. And also she dislikes coffee just like me. What a great combo.
Wow.
Sure, she has a bit of a 5-head, but her swagger is enough to overcome such a small gripe. So she, Lal C, is the final waifu of the month.
Well, there it is.
Check it out.
Rip Faye.
Rip Faye.
Sorry, everybody who wanted Faye.
Can we get a capital F?
That it is.
AYE in the chat for Faye.
Damn.
God, Faye is not a good waifu. Get that.
She's not, man. She would abandon you and stab you in the back. She's
awful. Oh my goodness. Always scamping around in those revealing clothes. Scamping around.
Wow.
Get out of here.
Mason. How could
Save
you?
it for some other
Don't
swordfish.
shame her. She's a very lovely lady.
She's a character, all right. Anyway.
She's my kind of lady.
All right. Well, Mandy.
Hi.
The moment has come. Many weeks of discussion over anime Cels, agonizing over which one to get. Many dollars spent. It's an expensive hobby.
Got other people to buy Cels, and I ruined them. I apologize.
Oh. Okay. Well, you know
Well,
what?
it's okay because now you're going to ruin all of our listeners.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I figured since this is something that we've been talking about on Discord for so long, that I'm like, we should probably. Actually, I think Mitz came up with this. We should probably do a topic on this because there's probably a lot of newer anime fans who don't know the history behind Cell animation. So,
yeah. Well, before we get into that, real quick, let me just do this before I forget, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, and you didn't do it because you didn't want to be able to have to listen to our extra content that we offer you on our website, which is how we previously had been delivering all the stuff to you, which is not the most convenient way to do it. And in this day and age of cell phones and whatnot. But now we have an exclusive RSS feed that will let you access all the hentai episodes, the hobby addicts, and the after parties, all from your favorite mobile apps, which includes apps like Pocket Casts, Podcast Addicts, the Apple Podcast app, which a ton of people use, CastBox, Overcast FM, pretty much anything. When you sign up on the website at aapodcast.com/join, you'll get access to this RSS feed. There's a section at the top of the main website for this RSS feed, and it'll give you instructions on how to activate it. It takes like a minute to do it, and you'll just get all of our extra content fed right to your phone, just like every other podcast. So if you were holding out on supporting the podcast because you didn't think you would be able to access the extra content or you didn't want to access it in that way, we have fixed it for you. So now's the time to help us out, and we will help you out with our extra content. So just wanted to throw that out there, and thank you very much.
I apologize. If you saw me eye rolling, it's because my cat won't shut up.
Well, she's just telling you that she's hungry, even though you just fed her.
I mean, she always has food available. She's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on today. All my animals have lost their minds.
Did we ever find out the conclusion to the saga of what the heck the ferrets got up to?
Oh,
it
wow,
was a
yeah.
box of books they knocked over.
Well, of course it was.
I periodically collect manga that I know I'm never going to read again, and then I sell them. Or sometimes I donate them, and I had a box of them ready to go, and they knocked it over. Knocked all of them all over the floor.
Well, there it is.
But so, yeah, jumping back into Cels. A lot of people, if you don't know what a cell is, well, we're going to tell you. A cell, aka celluloid, is what Mitsugi is holding up right now. He has Hajime no Ippo. And they were paintings on transparent plastic sheets that were used during the production of anime and cartoons mostly before the year 2000. But each cell is considered a frame of an animation. And they were filmed and then put behind each other to give the illusion of movement. And although a lot of series, there were some series that did cling to cell animation for a while after the year 2000, but by that point, most of them were phased out. Even a lot of shows that were long running, like Hunter x Hunter, was first start off with cells, and after a certain point, they switched to digital. But the last series that clung to cells was actually Saze-san. They were very adamant about sticking to the old cell style animation, and they didn't switch to 200 year 2013. But
Jeez, it's wild.
Yeah, and when I was looking up information on cells just to find if I could find some interesting little tidbits here and there, I discovered that the first episode of Evangelion only used 700 cells.
That's totally crazy.
That's bizarre.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, apparently they were notorious for trying to reduce the number of cells as much as possible. I didn't know that about Evangelion, but
that's not good.
Yeah, I found all kinds of crazy stuff.
For those of you that don't know, I mean, I'll just go out on a limb here, maybe not so much, and say that you can probably correlate the number of cells used in an episode of anime to the animation quality.
Yeah. And
700 is not a lot. If you think about your typical like video game running at like 30 frames a second or more, my God, I mean 700 cells would only get you like 23 seconds. That means there's a lot of still images and panning images and stuff.
A lot of panning shots in episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, boy, they got a return on investment from that show because the money that thing has made. Wow.
Yeah.
Someone's a genius. Okay, please continue.
Yeah, like we said, the anime typically used to run at 24 frames per second. So for a 20-minute show, that would normally end up being like over 28,000 cells needed. But animation teams like Evangelion did use tricks to reduce costs, such as still frames and so on, and repeating cells over and over. But I also found out that Miyazaki is a control freak.
Yeah, you think?
And apparently, yeah, he would apparently end up redrawing at least 80,000 cells by himself because he would tell them they're not good enough, which blew my mind. I didn't know that it would be that much. But
you gotta love him though. I mean, the dedication to perfection just. Oh my God, 80,000.
That was really funny when I was looking it up. I was like, because usually a typical anime that isn't going like over the top would use around 3,000 cells just through animation tricks such as panning and using still frames. But movies required over 100,000, and especially Studio Ghibli used loads of cells, and he would just redraw at like apparently over 80,000 in Princess Mononoke. I thought that was really funny.
I'm trying to find out how many cells they use in the movie Redline, because that was.
Wait, when did Redline come out?
That would have been digital, though.
Yeah, that would have been digital.
Nope, I don't think so. I think the whole thing about Redline was that they started it like 10 years before it came out, and they almost bankrupted themselves. It took 10 years to make it, and the selling point, I could be wrong, I'm checking right now, but I believe that the selling point of it and why it was such an unbelievable achievement was that it was all hand-drawn, even though it was, like, the animation is mind-blowing.
It says development took 7 years and used 100,000 handmade drawings.
That's not as many as I thought, but I think Princess Mononoke was closer to 200,000, wasn't it?
Probably. It was a lot.
It's also a lot longer of a movie.
That's true. And Princess Mononoke is so great.
The Red Line is just over 100 minutes, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I have one here. This is Tasky from Fushigi. If you're watching live, I'll put pictures up on our live stream chat in Discord, and I'm sure we'll probably put some up on social media. But a regular size cell for TV animation was about 10 by 9, which is what this one is. And then the movie ones were a little bit larger with 14 by 9. I have I have 2 different portfolios that most of mine are in. I have one here from Vampire Hunter D. It's not really special. Sorry, this is like massive if you can see it. But yep, that's about how large the movie ones were. They're much larger.
Yeah, they're bigger. Yeah, I think your typical anime cell is like an 11 by like almost like maybe like a 12 by 10 by 12, 11 by 14 maybe. So they're not tremendously big. If you've seen the movie the anime Golden Boy, which I just bought a cell from and we'll show later, there's a great shot at the end in episode 6 of Golden Boy of them actually lining up and photocopying the cells that they drew to actually create the animation. So like we've talked about it before, that's like one of the best anime that I've seen to actually show you some of the process of making anime, at least back then. And they're like, oh yeah, so we line up each shot just perfectly and then photograph it. And then they're like literally just scanning these cells into their machine. Pretty neat how the process happens. But I think the reason why they went from cells to computer is that the cost is just drastically lower. Mm-hmm. Like there's just no comparison at all. And I think with the amount of everybody's always trying to make more money. And so you got to think about all the cost of all the wet acetate and the materials and whatnot. And the time, I think, as well. You know, it's just way cheaper to do it on computers. So I think that Disney switched like way before anime did, like way before. So I don't know. Anime is probably a little behind, but.
You can also watch Shirobako or Eizouken for more recent examples of the process of photographing cells and stuff.
Yeah, there's also Animation Runner Kuromi, I think it's called.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I mean, cells are really neat. They're all unique. Every cell is used to create movement in an anime, and so you're not going to find 2 that are exactly the same. You might find 2 that are similar, but they don't. Every time you buy a cell, not only are you like commemorating your fandom to whatever show it is, and of course they have to be old shows because as Mandy has said already that. They pretty much stopped using cells like in the early 2000s. You're commemorating your fandom to this anime, and you're owning like a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork. It really is artwork, and it's just a really special thing to have a cell like that. If you find a cell online that you love, I recommend thinking about it and buying it and trying to buy it. And then, of course, if it's a really nice one, you'll want to get it framed, and we'll talk about that later. And you'll know that they're like a lot of cells even have like the markers on them that show, like the dogas, which we'll talk about, will have like, this is what color this spot was supposed to be. They'll have letter and numberings on them that'll show you like this is the number in a sequence in which this cell was supposed to happen. So maybe like a sequence has like 100 cells in it, and they'll like literally number them so they get them all in the right order. It's interesting, you're owning a piece of art, but also you get to see some of how things are produced, and so it's something I've been into for a long time. I think I bought my first anime cell when I was in college, and that was over 15. I entered college in like 2005, so yeah, and it's just pretty interesting, and you can find cells from all kinds of stuff. So,
what do you want to ask? What was before we get into like the specifics? What was each of yours first cell, and did you do any cell hunting in Japan?
Oh no, I didn't look in Japan while I didn't even know where to look in Japan. No, I mostly just hung out with you guys during that whole trip, so I didn't see any there. But my first one was that Vampire Hunter D one that I showed earlier.
I have bought some. I did buy some cells in Japan. I bought some at Comic-Cat one year, and that includes a lot of these like Hajime no Ippo cells. And they're really it's strange. Like some shows are just really cheap. Like this cell of Ippo that I'm holding up. It's a great shot of the front of him. This cell is like $8. I mean, it's silly how cheap Hajime no Ippo cells are, and it's like, you know, Ippo is a great sports anime, and so yeah, I bought those at Comic-Cat. My first cell ever. I think I've shown it before, but it's this one from Evangelion. It's got the three of them, and it has like a Studio Gainax like plaque on the front of it. I bought this one probably 15 years ago. I actually think that this cell was not used in production. I think it was a cell used for a promotion. So it was either used in a TV commercial or on some other piece of work that they used that they were using to promote the series. So, and that one came framed, thankfully, because framing is a racket. It's so expensive. Where do we go from here? We could talk about the dogas.
Yeah, I was gonna try to show off some. Sorry if you guys hear a bunch of moving around in the background. My portfolio is quite large because some of them are much larger than my smaller ones, so they're kind of harder to show off. But I showed you Tasky earlier from the Shigyogi. This is what a doga looks like. It is just the sketch that they would use. Every cell has one of these, and it's very common to find them if you buy them online. They usually come with the cell very often. But that was the guide that they would use so the artist knew what colors to use in what place. And they would trace the cell from the dogas.
Yeah,
so,
you can often find little like hashes that'll indicate, okay, well here's where you're gonna make it blue, here's where you're gonna make it, this color, and it's usually all written in Japanese and stuff. So
yeah,
but,
and the
neat.
backgrounds were usually watercolor on cardboard, and they would use these for multiple cells throughout a sequence. So if you found one with a background, they're usually far more valuable.
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but there are definitely some things that make cells more costly than others. And then sometimes I'm just mystified by how much they are, why does this cell cost so much? But dogas are definitely pretty cool. They're also one of the most common things that will destroy a cell.
Yeah.
If you don't store your cells properly, if you put the cell on top of the doga, or even if you put them directly just touching it all, one of the things that, and again, I'll touch on this more later, you got to be careful when you're buying cells, because you don't want to get a cell where the doga is stuck to the paint, because sometimes you can't get it off of the paint without damaging the cell. And so, I definitely recommend people store their dogas not next to their cells. So usually when I've gotten mine framed, they'll have like a pocket in the back or on the inside of the frame that'll hold the extra stuff, like the certificates or the dogas or whatever, and because you don't want that touching. So
yeah, if you find one that is stuck that you really like, you can just trim the paper around it and just use it as like a white background.
yeah, I definitely would be careful peeling the dogas off, because you end up buying like a $300 anime cell, and then you're like, oh, maybe and then you take a chance on getting it off, and then boom, you end up with a hole in the front of it or something. So you don't want to.
And you can still find dogas for modern anime, because surprise, surprise, a lot of anime today is still hand drawn, and they just use it when they do it digitally. This one is from Hakuoki.
Yeah, that one looks really nice.
And yeah, they just scan those in to produce it digitally, but yeah, you can also find Gengas. Gengas were drawn by senior animators. They were used as a model for the rest of the animation staff to show what the scene would look like, and included some additional notes on how the dogas should be made. And these are almost never sold online. If they are, they're extremely expensive, because these were very they only made them by the senior animators only made them, and usually they wouldn't sell them online. I have some reproduction ones. These are not originals. These were given out at a limited edition like reprint from Production IG. These are Ghosts in the Shell.
That's
to
cool.
give you an idea of what a Genga looks like.
A lot of detail.
Yeah, Production IG gave these out at a special screening of Ghost in the Shell in Japan for, I think it was Ghost in the Shell, the new movie, which is like the one where they included some CG in it, I think. But yeah, I have a few of these. There's that one with Motoko Kusanagi with her rifle, and there's some production notes on the side. And then I have a few more from like the brain, or like the making of a cyborg in the beginning of the movie. And there's one with Motoko falling apart when she tried to rip open the tank's hatch.
Yeah, see to me, those are so detailed that, like, I mean, if it were me, I would definitely frame those, because they're just, even though they're not cells, they're just so fantastic looking that I would absolutely want to show those off. Because
I know when we went to Kyoto Animation on our trip, they sold books where they had, like Mandy just showed off, the Gengas. And obviously they're not the originals, they're the scanned versions. But you can get it for a bunch of their works. Hibike Euphonium has a bunch of those, and those are super cool. I just want to know where you can find Gengars. You know, I'm looking around, I see a bunch of Haunters, but I'm not finding these Gengars in the wild. They're hard to find.
I can't reach it, but our friend Andrew, when we went to Japan, gave me a Gengar, and I've got it up on top. It's a stuffed one.
That's cool.
Nice. Well, how should people protect their precious loot?
Their cells?
Well, I think Mitz wanted to go over like what to look for when you're buying them.
I mean, we're definitely, there's a whole section on here about that Mandy's written about how to preserve your cells, but cells are like, they're a tricky thing. I mean, the value is definitely driven by supply and demand for sure. I think that recently Hunter x Hunter cells have gone up in value big time because there is an old Hunter x Hunter series, and now there's a new series. And so even though the new one doesn't have cells, the old one does. And so you're seeing a lot of Hunter x Hunter cells pop up. And I think it's because people are realizing that they can get a good value for their cells. And I'm sure Mandy has at least one Hunter x Hunter cell. Be shocked if she didn't.
I have maybe 3.
There we go. She's holding up a cell of Hisoka's, throwing a card. And like, I kick myself all the time because of this, because back in the day, and I'll tell this quick story. I used to buy bulk anime cells. Like, I'd buy it'd be like a random 200 cells. And then I would try to sit there and I'd try to figure out what they were all from. And I sold so many JoJo's Bizarre Adventure cells back in the day when no one gave a shit about JoJo. This was like in 2001, and no one cared. And this guy was like, if you ever get a JoJo cell, I'll buy it. And I was selling them to this guy for like $5 a pop. And I probably sold him 20, 30 JoJo cells. Gee, they're all from like the old OVA, but those things are probably worth way more now. And it's just one of those things. But as I said, typically more popular anime or iconic scenes from an anime are going to have higher value. So shows like Hunter x Hunter or Studio Ghibli shows are just they're gonna command huge money. So like, I'm gonna put a couple here up on the screen here so you guys can look. Like this cell right here that is from Studio Ghibli from Princess Mononoke. This is a fantastic cell. And I'll tell you right now, any Ghibli cell you find, it's always going to cost a fortune. It could be literally a car on a street. Like, you don't know, like, whatever. And that thing's still going to cost at least $100. This one of San from Princess Mononoke, it's a scene where she's like trying to pull Ashitaka out from the animal, I think, and she's getting like the cursed worms on her or whatever. This baby right here is almost $3,500. But oh man, it's tempting. It looks so good. But they definitely come in all sorts of different price ranges. Here's one I snapshotted of Goku holding up a spirit bomb. And I was talking about iconic scenes from anime, and this one actually has like the Doga and everything with it. This one is $7,000. So they're asking $7,000 for it. And
I was watching the one with the actual punch of Gon punching Hisoka. Like it was like the actual contact, and that one was $5,000.
I was going to ask, what's your guys' like white whale in the in the Cell community? What's the one that you're like, oh, if I saw that, if I could get my hands on it for a
Guys,
reasonable price?
Someone out there has the cell of Hisoka's butt. I will pay you for
There we go.
it. Somebody has to have it. I want that cell.
For me, it's anything from Lunar, the game. I actually asked a guy recently I bought a cell from. I was like, if you can find anything from Lunar, I'll buy it. And he said, unfortunately, it's almost impossible to find cells from any game. So I don't know why that is, but he just seems to think it's really hard. But the popular shows they just cost a lot. Here's one of Cell. Dragon Ball Z cells cost a fortune. I don't know why they cost so much, but the good ones cost a fortune. I'm not going to buy a cell unless it's a good quality one. This one of Perfect Cell has a background and it looks really nice. This one's
almost perfect.
It is. It's pretty much perfect. This cell is $650. This is about as cheap of a cell as I could find of one that I thought looked like it was worth buying. So they definitely range pretty widely in value. You can buy, like I said, the EPO cell I held up earlier is whopping $8. But like for me, I think generally a nice cell can be obtained between like $100 and $300. Anything beyond that is just like you better really love it a lot, for sure. So things to look out for when buying cells. If you're trying to buy an original cell, definitely look out for reproductions. Mandy touched on that earlier. Sometimes you're buying a reproduction because you want to buy a reproduction, and that's a different thing altogether. But like here's a cell of from Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, that I'm putting up on the screen, and this one looks. These repros, they look exactly like the originals. Someone did these very skillfully. They're literally copying them with paint, acetate, or whatever, and then they'll turn around and they'll sell it, and they'll tell you it's a reproduction. Just be careful, because like this cell of Nausicaa on her glider would cost thousands of dollars for sure. There's no doubt about it. I bet it's between $3,000 and $5,000, but this cell that I'm showing online it was like $100 because it's a repro. So don't get overly excited if you see one. Definitely you want to look out for stuck dogas. You want to be real careful about that, and paper damage. So like I was actually looking at a cell online of from Golden Boy, and Mandy very astutely pointed out that this cell looked like it had damage on it. And so I emailed the guy, and sure enough, there was damage on it from paper being stuck to the ink. So and I was like, well, I'm not going to buy that. It was $100, and I'm not going to buy a damaged cell no matter what it costs. So definitely things to pay attention to when you're buying cells.
A lot of cells too will come, if there's multiple characters on them, will come in layers. So they'll have two cells on top of each other. And like my Hunter x Hunter one here, I have Gon and Killua.
That one looks nice.
And this one actually has a background. This is from the scene where they're looking up information on Greed Island. But the Gon and Killua are both on their own individual cells, because that way when they're animating, if they needed to animate only one character, they didn't have to redraw the entire scene. But these two are on top of each other, and I would probably never separate them, because even those will stick together. They're fine by themselves, but I would never peel them apart.
It's Gon and Killua. How could you ever separate them?
I know, you can't separate Gon and Killua. That's just crazy.
Come on, guys. Let's be real.
I think what you really need to watch out for when looking into cells is people like Mandy and Rob in the chat trying to say, "Oh, Mason, you should get the Iggy cell from JoJo."
It's wonderful. I would want that on my wall.
Those are the people you need to watch out for.
That Iggy cell, man, if I was prepared, I would have taken a picture of it so we could put on stream. That is the ugliest looking cell. And I want it on my wall so bad. It's just this like tug going.
Such a perfect framing, and looks like it's really well done, but it like perfectly captures how much of a goober Iggy is. And it's like, I don't want that.
He's definitely
I want it on my wall so bad.
Guys, some of the best places to buy cells, I think eBay is the best. And the reason for that primarily is because, one, they're almost always willing to negotiate on price. I will never buy a cell and not ask for a cheaper price. Like, I just did that, and I got a cell cheaper than he listed it for. But also because PayPal will protect you. They 100% support the buyer, and if for whatever reason it comes damaged or it's not what you thought or whatever, PayPal doesn't care about those sellers' excuses. They will 100% get your money back for you. So eBay is probably the best place. It also has just a ton of stuff on there. There's also websites like Asylum Anime, Takamura -store, Cell-GA. These are all places where you can buy cells. Definitely recommend that you buy some Cels if you find something you're in love with. Personally, and here's where I'm going to show off some of my Cels. I only have a few that I think are worth showing. If I'm buying a Cel, personally, the things that I look for are I love close-up shots of faces. So I almost always only buy those particular types of Cels. I already showed the Evangelion Cel, so I'm not going to show that again. But here's one from Crest of the Stars of LaFille. You can see it pretty much takes up the whole Cel of her face. She's dead center, looking straight at the camera. I had to get this one framed because it was just too nice to not frame it.
Oh, that's nice.
Here's another one of Onizuka screaming. GTOs. I got this one signed by Steve Bloom. He had no idea what series this was, so he just wrote like A-A-A-A-A-H. He had no idea who this was. He's done some. He had no idea. He actually told me that. And GTO Cels are, Jesus, they're so cheap. I think this Cel, it looks like a great Cel, right? I think it was literally like $20. I mean, no, I'm not even kidding.
Damn.
When Mitt says he likes close-up Cels, that GTO was like only half of his face fit in the frame.
It was up his nose.
He was up close.
Here's a Cel. I haven't framed it yet, but it's of Sanosuke from Rurouni Kenshin. It has a really huge background. I probably will get it framed pretty in short order. So Sanosuke is pretty cool. And I bought this one. Literally came in the mail today. Of Golden Boy. It's
perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in my bathroom. I think it's a shot of Kintaro in episode 2 cleaning Naoko's toilet, and he's like blushing and having perverted thoughts about his queen's little pink bottom. I think I have a drop. Don't I have a drop for this somewhere? Where's the drop? My queen. Do I still have the queen drop in here?
Yes, my queen.
Where is it? Oh, I might have taken. I purged a lot of stuff out of the soundboard lately because it was just so bloated. Yeah, I might have taken it out, but and the reason why I bought this one, it's not a close-up of his face, but I bought this one because it just captures the essence of Golden Boy. So there were better Cels that I could have got that I passed on, but like sometimes you just want to get a Cel that really just captures the essence of the anime.
A toilet. Oh.
Our Discord was going back and forth for weeks about like analyzing different Cels, watching prices, comparing which one should I get. This was a ordeal of artistic quality, and I was a big fan of the toilet one.
I have another one coming eventually that I can't wait to show off when I finally get it.
Oh,
it's
no.
good. It's a good one.
I've never spent.
It's not the butt. I wish it was.
I've never spent more than $300 on a Cel. I think that most Cels can be obtained for that price, and anything more than that is either like a really rare thing, like it's a Ghibli Cel, or the seller has unrealistic price expectations.
Yeah.
So, as much as I love like Dragon Ball, and I'd love to have a Cel of Super Saiyan Goku, like I'm not paying $850 for a Cel of Super Saiyan Goku. There are prices where you just have to be. Personally, I'm like, I feel a little bit. I gotta be a little fiscally responsible here and not go too crazy, because if you're at least with me, I'm gonna frame my Cels, and framing is an unbelievable racket. I mean, we're gonna talk about this right now, but I am not gonna frame a Cel myself. And if you go to like if you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and buy a frame and get them to frame it, you're gonna pay at least $150 probably to have that done. So
I did my own for $50.
There you go. Let's talk about this, Mandy, preserving your Cels.
Oh, sure. I was going to show off some of the other ones that I have.
Yeah,
I've been kind of showing them off periodically between descriptions. This one is very old, but an older one of mine. It's of Aya and Toya from Sarah's Celestial Legend.
Uh-huh.
I've had that one for so long. I think I showed off Reinhard already. I have Reinhard from Legend of the Galactic Heroes. It's just him, no background. It's a very gorgeous picture of him, though.
It is a gorgeous picture because it's of him. And you could just say the background is space.
It is!
The darkness of it.
You're right. It came with a background. It's the galaxy. And my close-up of Taski from Fushigi. This is a really nice one too, because this one is the entire Cel. There is no background for it. I showed off Golden Killua already, and I showed off my Vampire Hunter D one and my Hisoka, which is the one that I framed. I'm so sorry about my mic. Like I was saying before, this is going to be your own personal preference. I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. A lot of collectors will just put their cells in portfolios. They don't like framing them. But if you do that, make sure that they're always kept inside of a plastic protector called cell bags. They're similar to the ones that they use for comic books. And also, like Mitz mentioned earlier, never stack them on top of anything because that paint will adhere to surfaces and stick. So always keep them separately. If you are framing them, like I did with my Hisoka here, this background is also not the original background. This one was from somewhere else in the series, but the seller just gave it to me just to give it a background. And it looks all right. It's actually not that far off from what the original was. This is the scene where during the Hunter exam, where they're trying to see which of the examiners was the fake one, and so he throws cards at both of them. So, but if you're going to do your own, just make sure that when you buy mat boards that they are acid-free, preservation quality. Also, never each of the layers of your cells, make sure that they are all matted separately so that they're never sitting flush on top of something. The cell of Hisoka is matted on his own board above the background, so he's not actually touching the background. So that way he won't adhere to it. Never put tape directly on them. I used this archiving mounting strips. You can get these. This whole box has a ton of them in there. And what these do, let me put Hisoka away so I can actually use my hands. These mounting strips, they do not stick to the actual cell. This part sticks to the mat board, and your cell kind of just sits in there. And you can put linen on this so that it won't flush up, like actually touch the cell itself. And that way it just kind of sits in there, and you want to put them only on the edges because with higher fluctuations in temperature, your cell will expand and contract. So make sure that it has room to breathe. And also the most important thing is the protector over it. This is not glass. This is acrylic and it has UV protection on it. Yep. Because UV is the one thing that will destroy cells. Constant exposure to UV rays will dull the paint. They'll turn green, sometimes yellow. So make sure it has UV protection. And even with UV protection, keep it out of direct sunlight as much as possible.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah, you gotta make sure whatever covering you get is high quality, because that's like your protection against between your cell and the world. So yeah, you don't want to skimp on that for sure.
And I said make sure it's acrylic too, because if this frame drops, if it's glass and it breaks, it will destroy your cell. So I use plastic so that way if it falls for whatever reason, it's not going to break.
For whatever ferret.
For whatever ferret reason.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, basically, guys, like it's, it sounds expensive, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to commemorate your fandom by buying a really nice cell. Like maybe you're the biggest Cowboy Bebop fan in the world, and I'm looking at a website right now where they actually have a pretty decent cell of Spike, and it is about $250, but like it has a background and it got a front shot of Spike. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not, if you have,
it's not Faye, so of course people would want it. But I get what you're saying.
There's one of Faye. There's one of Faye as well on here, and it's a little bit less than Spike, but
just in case someone didn't choose her for their waifu war, and you want to have the cell.
Oh shit!
Listen, I'm excited to go to Nakano Broadway with you guys and go cell shopping and just look on.
But not actually
watch the chaos and season. No, I'll probably.
Let's just see how much the butt cell is. If someone has to have it. Togashi took it home and was like, the butts is on my wall.
My magnum opus of creation.
and sometimes your favorite series of cells are really cheap. Like one of my favorite shows is Now and Then Here and There, and for whatever reason, no one gives a damn about that anime. And it's supply and demand, cheap as shit. There's a whole this website, this Takamura-store website, has 8 cells from Now and Then Here and There, and one of them is really nice, and it's a whopping $20. I mean, it just is.
Seriously?
No one cares. No one cares about this show, I'm telling you. So it's probably because the character designs aren't like super beautiful, but they're just cheap Cels. You can just get them cheap. So, you never know. Take a look. You might be surprised.
The one I have coming is really good. I can't wait to show it off at our next free topic or whatever next episode that we have after I get it. I'm showing it off.
So
it may be Hunter x Hunter.
It may be.
It may be.
I mean, come on. We pretty much, I mean, it pretty much is, right?
Yeah. It's Krollo's butt.
Oh. Krollo.
I'm just kidding. It's
the ever expensive Krollo. All right, guys. Well, that's about all we have to say on Cels. I think they're just a cool piece of anime history, and yeah. So take your fandom to the next level.
Yeah. So, man, are we at the next break?
We are.
I think so. We got to get moving on. We got lots of impressions.
We
today.
do. So let's do our in-show trivia question, which we will answer after the break. The question is, in the anime Bungo Stray Dogs, only 2 of the main characters are not based on an existing author. Who are they? We'll answer it after the break.
Hey everybody, Mitsugi's back, and I'm bringing you another round of anime news, starting off with a story that I'm fairly excited about. GTO Shonen Junai Gumi, which is the early years of GTO, the story of Onizuka before he was a school teacher in the TV show that most of us know and love. Amazon Prime Video announced on Thursday that that manga is getting a new live-action series. It's going to debut on that streaming service February 28th. So, Kanichiro stars in the series as Eikichi Onizuka, and Daichi Kaneko stars as Ryuji Danma as they go around and look like just be complete badasses on their motorcycles. So, if you're a big fan of GTO or the GTO early years, definitely recommend maybe watching the Shonen Junai Gumi anime OVA, and also checking out the manga prior to watching this on Amazon. Next up, Pokemon is in the news. As always, the Pokemon World Championships 2020 are going to be held in London this August. This is the first time that the championships are going to be actually held outside of North America. It invites players from around the world to compete in Pokemon trading card games and video games as well, and fans can purchase passes and go just enjoy the festivities. The venue is also going to include a Pokemon Center store, which can offer a ton of merchandise, which is all going to be themed around the tournament. So there will be just tons of cool stuff to do over at that event. If you're a big fan of Pokemon, and I don't know if you live in London or want to take a trip abroad, so you can go check it out. According to the website, players will not have to pay an entry fee to participate, but there will be a nominal fee for spectator badges. So just keep that in mind. Next up, Yomushi Pedal is teasing an important announcement this year's 8th issue of the Weekly Shonen Champion magazine. These are so many Weekly Shonen magazines, unbelievable. That Wataru Watanabe's property, Yomushi Pedal, is going to have an important announcement on January 30th, which is pretty much around the time that this podcast will be live for you to listen to. So could it be a movie? Could it be another season of the anime? Don't really know. We're going to find out if there's more to the story of Sakamichi Onoda. So he launched the manga back in 2008, and it's also had several seasons of anime as well. So if you're a fan of Yomushi Pedal, look out for that announcement coming out right about the time you're going to be listening to this on January 30th. And lastly, Crunchyroll sponsors a new Anime Frontier convention in Texas in May for 2020. So this is pretty interesting. Crunchyroll and an event company, Left Field Media, which hosts lots of events, including Anime NYC and other big events, announced that they're going to be having another anime con down in Fort Worth, Texas. So it's going to be from May 8th to the 10th at the Fort Worth Convention Center, and it's going to include lots of voice talent and guests. So if you're a big fan of Crunchyroll or anime conventions and you live in the Fort Worth area, check out the ticket prices, which will only be about $45 for the weekend event. So not terrible. So So if you're a big fan of anime cons and you live in the Fort Worth area or want to just enjoy something that's being put on by Crunchyroll, look into the Frontier Convention down in Fort Worth, Texas. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And now, of course, as we always do, we're going to get back to the podcast right now. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aaapodcast.com/join, support the podcast, Merry Christmas, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aaapodcast.com/join, and support the podcast.
Hi, my name is Sonny Strait, voice of Krillin from Dragon Ball Z, and I'm an anime addict. Kamehameha, bitches!
Welcome back to the podcast. The trivia question: in the anime Bungo Stray Dogs, only 2 of the main characters are not based on an existing author. Who are they? The answer is Naomi Tanizaki, who is based on a character in Junichiro Tanazaki's novel A Fool's Love, and Elise, who is a character in Ogai Mori's short story The Dancing Girl. That's a tough trivia question.
You know, if I make trivia questions, they're going to be hard.
Yeah, that's tough.
I am here to test you guys.
Yeah, I would not have gotten that. As someone who's seen all of the show, would not have gotten that.
I may have just watched all of it last week, so.
I'm excited for when we have our free topic discussion so we can talk about it more.
All right. Well, now we have a 5-star review, and let's get right to it.
Yeah.
It's time for iTunes review.
This review comes from Jay Huga. You can be like or her and go to iTunes to leave us a 5-star review, in which we will then read it on the podcast as I'm about to do. And says, "Hey guys, I've been a listener for about 5 months or so. You guys make my day with your jokes and your impressions on anime, which I normally agree with Mandi, as we all do. Best taste confirmed. I spend 10 hours of my morning driving.
I don't know about that.
I spend 10 hours of my morning driving a forklift for work. How long are your mornings, man? I think mornings aren't allowed to be that long. But anyway, and I normally hear 3 to 4 episodes per day while I work. Thanks for listening for that. And it makes my day so much easier. I decided to subscribe since I'm pretty much caught up all the 2019 episodes. And the first hentai episode I heard was the Metamorphosis review. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Good luck.
Which I completely agree with Mandi on her opinion on it.
What was my opinion? I don't remember.
I think the opinion was, and I quote, "Shit's fucked up, yo."
This shit is fucked up, yo.
This podcast is a hidden gem, and it was exactly what I was looking for. As a full-fledged anime addict, thanks for making my anime addiction worse. Well, thank you so much for writing in.
Yeah, thank you.
We all can't be Mandi here. Mandi has the taste. I have the takes.
Not so many people can watch so much Gintama in such a short amount of time.
Listen, I'm impressed that you can handle 3 to 4 episodes of us back to back to back. But I appreciate it, and as well as the review. So thanks so much for subscribing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. And we love you. Mwah.
We do.
Mm.
We love you, quote unquote, long time, real time.
Long time, real time.
Well, we have a lot of 5-star. We have a lot of impressions to get to, guys, including Heya Camp, Bofuri itai no wa iya nanode Bogyoryoku ni kyoku furi shitai to omoimasu, aka just known as Bofuri. Natsunagu, Hanako-Kun, Plunderer, and Pet. So who wants to start? I think I have 2 of these. Mason definitely. Do we all have 2 of them?
I got 3. I kind of spaced these out. I think we can just go in this order.
Wow.
It's okay. This will be real quick. So my first one is Heya Camp Delta, which is Crunchyroll. This is a series of shorts, not to be confused with the second announced season, which is going to be coming down the line. Essentially, coming into this, I was just expecting more of Yuru Camp, which is what it's based off of, and I was expecting a bunch of short, one-off episodes where the characters do a cute thing in the club room, possibly to prepare for an upcoming excursion, which would have led into like the beginning of season 2, I thought. However, what the show really is just one long episode, which is composed of these like 3-minute stitched together ones of all our lovable club members running around Lake Kawaguchi, which is in Yamanashi, which is near the base of Mount Fuji. They visit different real-world parks and tourist spots to fill out a stamp book with the reward of food. So essentially, just wait until the season finishes and watch the whole thing at once, and it's essentially just going to be one long episode, which is better than what I was hoping because we get one cohesive experience. But watching it week to week, there's really not a lot to get into. It's really just one episode. And I think at the end of the day, while I think that episode will be good, it's not going to be review worthy. Like, it's more Yuru Camp. It's hitting all the same notes, but since it's one episode and there's not Rin-chan there, there's not enough like stuff to go on for. And I don't need the show for the comfiness because I've got Somali for that this season. So it's going to be a fail because while it is good, it's just not a full show, and we don't need to go into it. If you like the Yuru Camp, watch it. If not, just wait for season 2 and then watch it again.
Somali is so good.
Somali is so good.
It's so good.
Well, say bye-bye to that anime.
Shall not pass!
Bye-bye. Take care now. Bye-bye then. All right, since we're going in the order in which they're on the dock, I will go next. I'm going to do this show called Bofuri. I'm not going to read the title again. Too damn long. Just ridiculous.
You've already committed this far.
AKA, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. AKA, I hate being in pain, so I think I'll make a defense build. Whatever.
AKA tank mode OP.
As if most people don't like being in pain. I mean, it's like
AKA tank and spank, yo.
Well, tank and spank. Done by Studio Silver Link, whom has, let's see, most recently Silver Link has done shows including, let's see here, Nakanohito Genome, Kenjo no Mago, No no Biori. They've done a lot of that. So
all of those get big yikes from me.
Yeah, well, let's see about this. So Bofuri is this show about this girl named, well, her in-game name is Maple. I'm not actually sure what her real name is in the show.
It's isn't it Kaide, which is Japanese for maple?
Oh,
it is.
I don't know.
That's
actually.
the answer.
Well, Kaede is the English voice actress's is the Japanese voice actress's name, so that would be very coincidental.
It is that then.
So this girl named Maple, she plays. Yeah, you're right. Kaede Honju and her friend Disa start playing this virtual reality MMO game called New World Online, which sounds exactly like .hack again. But so this is that other show. The one I had Infinite Dendrogram, which I don't think we've done an impression on yet, and then this was the other one. And so in this show, Kaede, she's making her build, and she signs in or whatever, and it's in VR, and she's like, oh, I know, I'll pick my weapon, I'm gonna pick my class and my stats. And she's like, oh, well, I don't like being in pain, so I think I'll put all my stats into defense. So she literally puts all 100 of her stat points into like vitality or whatever. So she has like 0 strength, 0 magic, 0 agility, 100 vitality, which I don't know how well that would work in real life. But so she gets into this game. She's got a shield, so it's a little like Shield Hero, I guess, in that she's predominantly uses a shield, and she just starts like exploring this world of this game of this new game online, and she begins to like really figure out the game. And I would just say that the number one thing about this anime that makes it so enjoyable to me is that it just feels good. Like it's just a happy sort of enjoyable show. They, in the first episode, they have like a contest amongst, I guess it's like it's a fairly new VR MMO game. So they're having this very first like contest that they're having like across all the servers or whatever. And she plays in it and she gets like third. And so she's amongst everybody. And so she's developing this notoriety, and she's she like basically can't be damaged. And the shield that she has a lot of good abilities, including one called Devour, which lets her literally eat enemies with her shield and convert them into MP. So she also has a skill called Absolute Defense due to maxing out her vitality that she can counter skills, and it's interesting. And also it's kind of interesting how she starts exploring the world. And like one of the first things she does is she starts encountering these poison insects, and they start poisoning her, and she starts like gradually developing like more and more advanced poison resistance skills. And then towards the end of the first episode, she's doing this dungeon and using the poison she has like advanced poison resist or whatever, and she fights this monster, this big dragon in this dungeon by herself, and the dragon's breathing poison breath on her, and it's damaging her a lot. And so she's drinking these potions just like rapidly. She's getting her ass kicked. And then she eventually gets the new skill, Poison Immunity, and it can't hurt her anymore. And it ends up like turning the tide of the fight for her, and she ends up winning. And then in the second episode, her friend Disa, who was very much more responsibly studying for her exams in school, finally signs in. And so the two of them start to team up, and they're going on all these adventures together. Including going to like this this underground lake, I guess, where they're doing like a lot of fishing, and they're just trying to catch like materials. And Disa, who has a lot of agility, she's great. Her character's good at swimming. She like dives down into the water, and she finds like this dungeon under the water. And throughout the episode, she gets better at swimming. Eventually, is able to take on this boss. She has to take the boss on by herself because Kaede or Maple can't swim. She can't swim at all because she has no agility at all. And so I would say that one of the most surprising things about this anime, and it was both in episode 2 and 3, is that there's a boss fight in episode 2 and there's been a boss fight at the end of every episode. And they've all been really enjoyable to watch, but especially in episodes 2 and 3, the boss fights have been especially grandiose and pretty engaging to watch, and surprisingly good looking, I would say. It's been a pretty enjoyable show. Maple gets notoriety at the end of the third episode after doing a lot more exploring together with her friend, who her friend names her character Sally, which is a lot less cute than Maple, but whatever. They're getting ready to go into the second like server-wide challenge where they're going to be on a team together. And so it's just good. Like I've seen 7 shows this season so far, and this is my favorite of the 7. It just feels good. It's enjoyable to watch. I'm like, oh yeah, this feels like an MMO. They're upgrading their weapons and just having a fun time, being friends. And then sometimes they'll like go outside the game and they'll like talk about the game from like the real world, but for the most part, it takes place in the game. So definitely gonna pass Bofuri, enjoying it a lot, and very surprised actually by how much I'm enjoying it. So I'm hoping that it keeps it up. It's only 12 episodes long, so it'll be over before you know it, but I'm hoping that it keeps up the pace that it's been going on. And I hope that they develop some kind of a more defined conflict in it, because there's not much of a conflict at this point. They're just still kind of exploring things, but I'm hoping that like a conflict pops up that will help to propel the story a little bit. But up until now, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
There we go.
My favorite thing about this so far is in the first 2 episodes, I was like, her shield is really overpowered. She's going to get nerfed. Third episode, they nerfed the shit out of her.
They nerfed her. Yeah. So,
I was like, I've lived this life. I'm waiting because right now, you should see how much my damage is skyrocketed in Warcraft. They messed me up. I'm waiting for the moment where I log in.
They anti-nerfed
in a good way, yeah. I'm waiting for the nerf hammer to come down on me.
Yeah, they nerf her because like her devour skill was so broken, and so they make it so she can only use it 10 times per day, and then they're having conversations about how she's probably the reason why they nerfed it, because she's just trashing everybody. So good, it's a good show. I'm enjoying it.
Mandy is over here screaming like unlimited power. It gets nerfed, moderate power.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be my life. I'm just waiting for it.
All right, next up.
Next up, we have Natsunagu, which is from Magica Labs, and it's not streaming anywhere. This is another very short-length show. Each episode's like 4 minutes long. This is the one that was done by the, what was the name? Kumamoto, the government center that was kind of part of the rebuilding efforts of the 2016 earthquakes. They kind of put their town on the forefront of having all the production and animation and voice acting come from within this town. It's kind of a rebuilding effort. Hey, we're still around, come visit us, kind of sort of thing. Essentially, it revolves around our main character, Natsuna Kunugi, who lives in Tokyo. She has a friend that she kind of knows through a game who lived in Kumamoto. She gets a text saying, hey, how's it going one day? And all of a sudden their only means of communication shuts down. So she's like, I should probably go visit her, even though I don't know where she lives, don't have any of her contact info, and I should see if she's doing okay. Essentially, she goes there, she tries to track her down, and that's kind of the plot of the show. And it's kind of whatever. It's a short, and I usually like shorts. I love shorts. I think they usually tend to do a better job of not wasting time, getting to the most interesting part of things, and just being an easy watch. And it looks nice enough. It sounds nice enough. It feels and moves, but it's all paced like a YouTube fan-made animation. Like, this is not a well-done production in that, it's done by probably a small team on a small budget, and it's, like I said, it's done by the prefectural government that's the producer with native residents. Like, it feels very inconsistent, and while there's part of a little bit of charm to that, it's not enough to be like, oh yeah, this is a fully fleshed out thing that's worth a lot of time. Like, when I picked the show, I didn't have anything but a super well done poster that made it look phenomenal. And while that was well designed, the rest of the show is kind of just whatever. It's just kind of bland. It's not streaming anywhere, and for how short the show is, it's not even worth the time to like try tracking down the thing and figuring it out. So I don't know if it all comes out at once later and you're curious, give it a shot in one go. But for now, it's obviously not going to pass.
Shame.
Mandy or Mitz, did you guys see any of it?
Nope.
No,
Shame.
I couldn't
Okay.
find it.
Shame.
Yeah, it was.
But I was surprised when I read that it was only 3 episodes and or 3 minutes an episode. I was like,
Yeah, it was a little just underwhelming. So we'll see if these two get replaced with another show later on in the season. If we need some more stuff that we might think have a better chance of passing. But even if it was great, there was not enough content here to really sink a full review into. So we can move on.
Alrighty, well, my one show for this week is Hanako-Kun, a toilet-bound Hanako-Kun.
So ridiculous.
And normally when I do my impressions, I write down notes. I didn't write any notes for this one because I love it so much. I was like, I know exactly what I want to say. I don't have to prepare anything. So this one is a manga adaptation, which I did the manga previously for Manga Minute. And this one is being adapted by Studio Lerche, who did Asobi Asobase. They did Assassination Classroom, Scum's Wish. The director for this one is actually Masaomi Ando, who also directed Scum's Wish. He also did the Hakume to Mikochi, which I think Enzo did an impression a while ago, but didn't pass. But I remember when I had my first impressions of like the PV and I watched the first episode, I was a little concerned because it looks gorgeous. I think some people got me wrong when I said that it doesn't move well or like it barely has any animation in it. It doesn't have a lot of movement, but that doesn't mean it doesn't look fantastic because the art is gorgeous. I love it so much. They captured the manga's art very well. It has like this mix between it has very bright colors, very thick outlines. It has a completely different style from a lot of things that I have seen, and the presentation, the overall presentation, and how the like different transitions, they look great. And I think the characters look fantastic. They're so charming. And what this anime is about, this girl named Nene, who is just recently was rejected by a boy that she likes. And so she hears a rumor, an urban legend, that in the school there is this certain stall that is haunted by the ghost of Hanako-Kun, or Hanako. And we've heard this story in other Japanese media franchises, but this particular ghost, if you go to the stall, will grant you a wish. And so she goes there, and it turns out the ghost is actually Hanako, which is like, or Hanako-Kun, which is a boy, which was she was not expecting. And so she asks him to give her a new boyfriend because she wants a new boyfriend to make the other one jealous, kind of like as revenge. And as she finds out, Hanako-kun can't really grant wishes like that, and finds out that it's not that easy. And through different events in there, similar to kind of Noragami style, where something happens where now she is connected to the spirit world. And so she works with Hanako as kind of like his assistant, because Hanako is there to keep the balance between the spirits and the humans that live there, because the spirits, their entire existence revolves around rumors. And whenever a rumor changes, they also change. So if a spirit was once peaceful, but a rumor passes around the school that they are now malevolent, they become malevolent, because without the rumors, they don't exist. So he is there to try and keep the balance between them, and Nene helps out. And it's just, I love the balance between like cute and charming, really spooky between them. It is just, I just love it so much. It's there's a lot of like, there's also this sort of feeling of just melancholy in there, where you always feel like there's something is going to go wrong. And man, I'm super into it. And after the first 3 episodes, I'm definitely passing this one because I can't wait to see what else happens. And fantastic OP. I love the song in the OP, and I'm super into it. Hanako is so he's one of those protagonists where he seems very wholesome, but also possibly a very dark side to him. And I'm excited to learn more.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
I also want to keep up with the manga.
I don't have much to add. Obviously it's your review. I just want to say, obviously anyone who has eyes will be like, yes, this show looks phenomenal. It is very much like a manga comes to life.
Yeah.
But the alternating thickness of the characters looks so good. Nene is more than dummy thick. She's daikon thick, which is hilarious.
She got some thick thighs, yo.
She's thick, my dude. Daikon thick. But no, when I started watching this, I'm like, oh, this is right up Mandy's alley. It's like a little bit of like Natsume. It's a little bit of Hozuki with like the yokai lore. Like there's so much at play, and it balances so well. It was a joy to watch, and I'm glad we're passing it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? That yeah, it is very much like the manga come to life. And I think because they captured the style in the manga so well, the way that they're drawn, I don't think that you could get like really, really fluid animation in there. I think it would destroy the entire art style. So yeah, I know. I love it. I'm excited for more. This is probably one of my favorites of the season.
Okay, now we have 3 passes. Let's continue right along here. Plunderer, which was one of Enzo's shows, but I have commandeered it. Plunderer is done by Studio Geek Toys, whom, I mean, they've done like nothing. So they have absolutely done, wow, like really pretty much nothing. So a some etchy stuff. That's about it. It looks like it's a pretty new studio. Plunderer is this. It's being described as post-apocalyptic, but you wouldn't really know it by watching it. But in the show, there's this world that is dominated by these things called numbers, which is like every person in the world has a number on them, and the number controls your social standing. And supposedly, they say if your number is higher, then if you ask something of somebody with a lower number on them, then they can't refuse whatever you ask them. So it really determines like your social standing and just like your place in the world. And in this show, there's a girl whose name is Hina, and Hina is looking for this warrior, this ace. She calls it. Her mother gets. I should add before I continue that if your number drops to 0, you get like swallowed up by this abyss, and you basically go to hell, I guess is how I'm viewing it. So you don't want your number to drop to 0. And your number will go up based on you doing things. So like this one girl in the show, her number goes up based on how many like nice things or favors she does for people. Hina's goes up 1 number every time she walks like 1,000 kilometers or something. So it's just like whatever.
Steps in.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like whatever. Like it's just random. It seems like, and but her mother's number drops to 0, and so she goes to hell. But before she goes to hell, she gives this thing to Hina called a ballot, and then tells her to go find this person that's known as like an ace, who is like basically these aces are these heroes that fought in this war that happened like years and years ago, hundreds of years ago, and so. What happens is that the show opens, and there's this girl named Hina, and she's looking for the ace, and she immediately gets harassed by this guy with a mask on, who the mask looks ridiculous, and he crawls out of like a gutter basically, and he's like begging her for food, and meanwhile he's like trying to look up her skirt, and I think he tried to pry her legs open like probably 5 times in the first episode, that guy like gets kicked around the street a lot by a bunch of girls, and they're like, oh, gross, and they kick him, and he flies across the street, and then he lands in front of some other girls, and they go, oh, gross, and they kick him again, and they're just kicking him like a soccer ball all over the street. She basically runs into this guy who she thinks is the ace, but he's like a leader, he's like a sergeant in this military group, and he's basically just like a scumbag who's pretending to be the ace so he can like bait people into coming with him, and then he's challenging them to like basically what is a duel, more or less. And if you lose a duel, that person can take all your numbers from you. So she loses a duel immediately because she can't fight at all. He just basically kicks her ass and she loses. And then and her number was pretty high. It was like 440, I think 441. And the scumbag guy, his number was like 300. So he takes all of her numbers, and she drops to 1, and he goes up to 770 or whatever. And then the guy with the mask shows up, and he's like trying to help the girl. And he takes the mask off, and he's like this handsome guy with white hair and a sword.
Of course.
And a sword. And he's the real ace. And his number is 5,700. And so he challenges the sergeant guy to a duel, and the sergeant guy just accepts the duel right away because he figures he'll beat anybody. And the guy with the ace, the guy with the mask, who had the mask, who's now a pretty guy, he just beats the shit out of the sergeant and takes all the numbers back that he took from Hina and gives them back to Hina. And then he takes the ballot from Hina. I don't even know what a ballot is at this point, but it's like this orb that has a number in it. And the number, Hina's orb number has like a 10,000 in it. He takes the ballot and then disappears. And so you think he's kind of stealing from Hina, but then you find out later that like he actually took it because he didn't want the military to think she was having this ballot, because if you have a ballot, it's like illegal or whatever, and they would put her in jail or something. So he's trying to help her. He gives the ballot back later. And then the third episode, the ace guy has a bounty on his head for beating up on the sergeant guy, and this girl who's like part of the police is helping people to get her number up, and simultaneously kind of looking for him, and then ends up going on like a date with him, but he has a mask on so she can't tell, and he's like, oh, my number is -999 because I've been rejected by 999 girls. And then the police lady's like, oh, I feel so bad for you. And so she goes on a date with the mask guy, and her number goes up a couple more points. I don't know, it's silly. It had ups and downs. Like, I don't think it was the worst thing I've seen this season, to be honest. And I kind of like the number system thing. It's kind of interesting, but it's also not super good. I really don't think I can pass it. I think Enzo would probably be mad at me if I did. And yeah, Enzo would have failed this the minute that the up the skirt thing went down, like after the first 3 minutes. So yeah, definitely gonna fail it. I don't know who. I mean, it's a fantasy show with like a shonen feel to it, I guess, because it's like, oh, I have a power level literally tattooed on my body, so to speak. But yeah, it's just not really for me. There's not an interesting story in it. That's the biggest problem, and it's just a little too silly.
Happily ever after.
Of course, Elizabeth.
What a pile of shit.
I love hearing little kids curse. It's hilarious. All right. Plunderer fails. Plunder that, bitch. All right, next.
Got him.
Got
Last
him.
and final impression for the week is Pet.
Oh, boy.
This is another one of Enzo's picks that I have taken upon myself. This is done by
one of Enzo's picks that he didn't pick.
That's
yeah,
right.
exactly. Picks with excessive air quotes around it.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is the one that we thought was going to come out last season that he did kind of pick, but then it never came out. So now it's this season, and we're like, I guess he still wants it. This is my Geno Studio, who did Kokoku, which had a fantastic OP, but in the end, it had a neat premise that it kind of failed to deliver on in the end. They also did Golden Kamui, which I was recommended, and I've started watching that. So stay tuned for thoughts on that.
I'm going to do that this week, too.
This is directed by Takahiro Omori, who did Bakano, Durarara, Princess Jellyfish, the Jinsho series. He also did the Into the Forest of Fireflies Light movie. So he's done a whole bunch of really good stuff.
Interesting.
This show has like this calming, ethereal vibe at the beginning. It's got a reference to that Matsuburo, like wind god from that like weird short podcast, or that weird short like 22-minute show I talked about in podcast episode 506. So I'm like, hey, I get it. Things are coming together up here. So this show is very Inception-esque, not like the actual Inception anime Paprika, but the whole like diving into people's memories, specifically their happiest and darkest moments, to kind of influence their perception, their thoughts, their recollections on the world, and kind of warping those memories to reshape these people to be either tools or friends or whatever. It's definitely a psychological show that delves into human trauma and how our mental state can affect our decisions.
Oh my God, you hit so many of my keywords.
Yeah, so this show is about this organization that sends these like new type people with the power to dive into others' mind, and it kind of fills these roles for the agency. And you have these characters who have the ability called Crushers because they can crush the memories or warp them, and they kind of fulfill this role for this very morally unclean organization. We're not really sure who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. We already see like rifts forming between like different members of this organization, and kind of the show seems to follow like these very episodic mysteries and trips into different people's minds. But the overall plot, I'm guessing, is going to delve into like, is such a power a good thing? Is it good for society? Is it a bad thing? Like, is it morally right? Like all these kind of questions I think will come up. And it's definitely a very confusing show in that like not the concepts aren't very hard to grasp, but like the show really hasn't like fully unveiled itself. Like we really don't know what is all going on. For every question it answers, it raises like two questions. So we're kind of left in the dark and guessing about all these ulterior motives. And to say it right off the bat, this show is not an easy watch. There's a lot of hard-hitting scenes, especially like the opening scene to episode 1, which details how a child with like severe intellectual disabilities is like a primary factor in the dissolution of his parents' relationship, potentially driving his mother to suicide. Later episodes deal with like a mom who's uncalled for beating of her child is like only the tip of the iceberg in the ways that they abandon their parental duties. Like these moments are slightly edgy at first, but it never like serves to make them look cool. But it's kind of like, hey, these are like true things that could be happening. Like this is, and it's kind of odd that like this very anime-esque solution of like mental diving into minds is this like, it makes it stand out a bit. And it's something that is not really easy to get by. I think the OP is really good. It's done by TK by Link to Koshiguri, kind of similar to the Kokuku, where just a really solid opening that gets you hyped to watch it. Visually, the show is a little off-putting. I kind of grew accustomed to it. It has this like uncanny valley sort of effect where the characters kind of look like dolls that are just a little bit like misproportioned. The dream sequences look cool, but overall the show definitely won't win any awards for how it looks. I don't know. I've seen 3 episodes of this, and I have no idea how I feel about this one. I think it has
wow,
a whole lot of potential going forward. It's trying to do a lot. There's definitely a lot of things that people could see as problematic, and I feel like some person could be like, yes, this is definitely a breath of fresh air. It's intellectually interesting. If it does stuff with these ideas, I think it'll be a really intriguing watch. I see other people could be like, these scenes maybe hit a little too close for home. It's offsetting. I don't like how it looks. I don't like the themes. Or if it, has this premise and fails to deliver, it could be just vastly disappointing. And I can't like instantly tell so far which way it's going to go. It's in good hands of like the guy's works in the past, but I could also see Kokuku being like, it'll like drop off and kind of become nothing. So I'm really on the fence with this one. And I mean, I kind of want to give it like a temporary pass or a temporary fail, whichever way we want to do it, and kind of like come back to it at the end of the season and like reassess like which ones do we most want to see. I assume neither you guys haven't seen any episodes of it yet.
No.
I was hoping to get some.
I mean, anything that we don't, any gap between the 8 shows we normally pass, we're just going to fill with retro shows. So, I mean, if you're not feeling real good about it,
well,
just cut it loose, baby.
I'm enjoying the show. I don't think it's, anime of the year, but I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to see what happens next with it. So, I mean, if that's enough to be interesting, I'd want to know what Enzo thinks of it as well. So I'm going to say, I'll go out on a limb. I'll say tentative pass. I want to see where it goes. I want to follow it a bit more. I haven't heard a lot of talk about it, but, could be just, it's not one of those shows that immediately jumps out at people. I guess I would encourage you guys to give, the first 2 episodes are kind of one collected thing. So I'd say give those 2 a shot. There's some off-putting scenes. There's some definitely yaoi tones to it, and for better or worse, I think it's well done enough that I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. So I'm gonna pass Pet.
Risk it for the biscuit.
I've never been this excited. You're excited. Feel these nipples.
You are agonizing over that.
I was.
I could hear it. You were scared.
I'm frightened.
Well, don't worry, because if you want a weird ass show, I've got one coming up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
I can't wait to talk about Dono Hey Dono.
That one's good. Episode 1, I was like, Episode 2, I'm all aboard the train, my friend.
All aboard that lizard train.
All about that gyoza. Speaking of gyoza and food and stuff, do we want to move on to mailbags?
Let's do it.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
I was taking a big drink of water and thus missed the intro to the mailbag dance, and at that point, it was a lost cause.
Oh shoot!
Yeah. I can hear the disappointment. Anyway, you can leave a mailbag over on aaapodcast.com. We have a fancy little mailbag button. You just slap that thing.
Slap it.
And tell us what you want us to answer. Our first question comes from Kyle from Sarasota. And they write, you are planning a 3-course anime dinner. Which shows would you pick for your guests for the following courses? P.S. You want them to have the best dining experience ever. The courses are appetizer, entree, dessert, and a bonus, a cocktail or post-meal drink. For example, they write, the dessert might be something overly sweet and moe. Oh, that's a good concept. Love the show. Keep up the great work.
Okay, well, appetizer ought to be something short but good. So I put Oji-san no Lamp. Pretty good show. Little short, little like 25-minute thing. It's about a guy who sells oil lamps, and he like inherits the business from his grandfather, I think. But then like the coming of electricity, puts him out of business, and it's just an interesting little OVA. The entree's got to be the Samurai X OVA, Trust and Betrayal, because damn, that thing is a masterpiece for sure. I wouldn't mind having an anime cell from Trust and Betrayal, but I already have one from Rurouni Kenshin, so maybe I don't need one. Really freaking great show. Plays like a 2-hour movie that you'll never forget. The dessert's got to be Redline, because you're gonna feel good as hell when you watch it, and everyone loves dessert. And I just said fuck the bonus. Like, why do we have to be so damn greedy? Like, come on, you need a post-meal drink. Let's just like, you know what Mason would say? Drink your water, people. Now, come on.
Yeah.
Then
Some
watch
people
free.
have a little coffee or yeah.
Oh, you can watch free.
That's a tall drink of water I can get behind.
Or Grand Blue.
Yeah.
Literally drown yourself in water.
And alcohol. Oh, the Grand Blue
too.
drinking game. What a nightmare. So I would kind of like tried to craft my course as in like someone who's never had anime before. Like what's easy stuff for them to get started with, and as it like goes longer in the meal, it gets more and more deep into the weeds of anime. So for appetizers, I figured these are going to be all really short works that are easy to introduce the concept of anime. You have the Ohio, the 1-minute Satoshi Kon little short. You have Fumiko's Confession. It's like this 2-minute adorable video about this girl who confesses, and then stuff happens and she just screams and runs, and it's so much fun to watch. You have Makoto Shinkai's She and Her Cat. That's like 4 minutes long, or a little bit longer. I think the Little Witch Academia, the first OVA, the 26-minute one, those are all good appetizers. For the entree, we're moving to a little more anime stuff. Kubikiri Cycle, that's pretty short. It's only 8 episodes. Kyoso Giga, that's 10 episodes. Those are both like, a long marathon, but that's enough for an entree. Or I figured you could watch the best looking movie in all of anime. You can quote me on that. The Royal Space Force movie done by Gainax. Oh, it looks so good. That's a meaty entree. And then finally for dessert, keeping with the theme and the most true hardcore anime fans, which is moe stuff, I figured either watch the 4-episode Tamayura OVA or Kase-san and the Morning Glories, which is like a 58-minute OVA.
I love that movie.
Those are both just, you'll be so content and happy after those. So definitely watch that. My alternate suggestion was just open up a buffet restaurant.
He stole it from me.
And just serve Gintama. And just say, look, everything's on the menu. You want your action?
Literally
go
everything.
to that aisle. You want your tragedy? Go over there. You want your comedy?
A bunch of naked man butts? We got that for you.
Gintama has everything, and just present it all and say, have your pick, my friend. Have your pick.
God. The more I watch Shonen Jump series, the more I'm like, Gintama is the best one. Anyways, but I said that we literally had this as a main topic not too long ago, right? I remember doing this, and I made like a hot pot of heartwarming shows at the time. But what I did for today is like my appetizer. It's like a short and fun show that just gets you in a good mood. So I did Skullface bookseller Hanako-Kun. I love that little short.
So good.
It's so good. But there's also Please Take My Brother Away, which will also get you in a very good mood because it's hilarious. The entree is like the meat of your meal. I said watch Legend Galactic Heroes because I said so.
Oh, wow.
But if you don't want to be eating for months, maybe try Silver Spoon because there's some food in that show that will actually make you very hungry.
Yeah, but the meat in that show is very sad.
Me and Mason might have to go there.
It's a good show, though. People watch
Katsu, no.
No.
The dessert, I had something very short and sweet, which is Surezure Children. That's a did we ever talk about Surezure Children?
We must have.
It's a really adorable show about just a bunch of high school kids who are going through love, and it's really sweet. But and then for my cocktail, I said watch Bartender because it makes me want to go to a fancy bar and have a bartender make me the drink that will heal my soul.
It's so soothing.
But also Gintama, because it's literally a buffet of everything that you could ever possibly want. And yeah, so our next mailbag is from Crash AMD Burn.
I think it's Crash and Burn, but it's
is that an N? Okay,
no,
sorry.
it's not. It is an M. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Hello all. I've been listening to the podcast for a while and I love it. How do y'all feel about the genre electronicore? Bands such as Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Crossfaith. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. Also, I listened to So Infamous, Mason's...
That's my little band.
Yeah, Mason's band. And I'm stoked to hear another pop punk fan in Mason. Thanks for all you do, and I hope you all have a great week. Why don't you take this, Mason?
Yeah, I don't even know what
this is definitely up your alley.
I don't even know what electronic core is.
Well, first, thank you for listening. Yeah, people, I'm just going to shill needlessly now. You can listen to my band on any platform that you have. So Infamous, look it up. It's whatever, but we're recording new stuff and it'll be a fun time. Anyway, electronic core. I'm mixed on this. I'm a big fan of, and you're going to love these band names, people. Arsonist, Get All the Girls. Phenomenal band. Horse, the band.
I've heard of them.
More Nintendo core, but they're really good. Genghis Tron, they're a little more grind than electronic core, but they're also phenomenal. So those are big three I love. Crossfaith, which you mentioned, leans more on like the trance side than the metal, which I like. Whereas like Fear and Loathing can kind of come off as a little bit edgy. I mean, Mandy, you've heard about them obviously through Hunter x Hunter and all that stuff. It's an all right genre. Yeah. The
ED. OP for Parasite.
Yes, that as well. So I don't know. There's just like an image and a look to these kind of bands that is kind of whatever. But I think Japan really took to the style well. It kind of fits their love of like English lyrics, but with the metal screaming and their electronic systems. It's good enough. I'm not a huge fan of this band, but I love the name, which is We Butter the Bread with Butter.
Good name.
They're from Germany, and they're just a fun time. But it's really good music for the gym. It gets you hyped, it gets you going, and it's a bunch of bangers. So there you go.
We butter the bread with butter.
Yep.
I don't really listen to a lot of that genre. The only ones I had were Fear and Loathing and Bloodstained Child. The only two like electronic horror Japanese albums that I have.
There
all right.
Go.
The last mailbag is from Kurdog566. What is your favorite show? Is it Tokyo Ghoul or is it Bleach?
My favorite show is neither of those.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you choose.
I've only seen Tokyo Ghoul. I've never watched Bleach, but I said the Tokyo Ghoul manga, which is not a show, but the manga was a lot better than the anime. So that's my choice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I have to choose between them, I guess I choose Bleach probably. I mean, I've seen Tokyo Ghoul. I don't really care for it. So I'm guessing I'd like Bleach more. So I'm just going to guess Bleach, but I mean, neither of these would be anywhere near my favorite list, probably, to be honest.
I haven't seen either, so I'm going to go with Tokyo Bleach. It's about a cleaning company that goes around Tokyo and does laundry services.
Can we do that? Can we make that show? Can we make that happen?
But that does it for this episode 508 of the AAA podcast.
Boom.
all sorts of impressions. We talked about Cels. We answered your questions. We talked about waifus. We reviewed manga. We talked about new releases. What more do you want from us? Well,
What
if
do
it's
you
hentai
want?
episodes, you're in luck because we're about to record another one of those. But if you also want after parties and all that good stuff, go on over to our website to find that and check it out. Don't forget to give us that 5-star review on iTunes. We appreciate it and love you, and we'll read it on the air for our embarrassment. Mandy, where can people find you? What are you up to these days?
You can find me on Twitter at AAA_Mandy with an I, and I talk about nerd shit. I got video games. My life right now is Warcraft. That's all I do. So, good luck contacting me at all.
And that's the place to attack me. Remember, because I don't have one. And
Yeah,
Mitch,
yeah. Come to Twitter and insult Mason with me. That's what I do daily.
on the reg. And Mitch, where can people find you?
I'm at Pope Mitsugi on Twitter. I'm a terrible follow. You don't want to follow me. Just don't do it.
Just come on by Facebook, come on by Discord. We're always happening and talking. Just add us there, and we'll be a good host. Thank you, everyone who joined us live on Twitch. And with that'll do it for this week. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Don't forget to send Caroline your fan art.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.